Welcome back, everybody, to the Blackstone Fortress. I am, as always, your host, Snowy Night Owl, aka Chris. I am joined by almost the whole dang crew. We got Nate, aka Pilch, here co-hosting. It's so nice to have my
Hello.
co-host. We have Ice King 132, sometimes otherwise known as Mark.
The one
Uh,
time.
he is here to provide opinions and Black Library Lord stuff. We have resident Tourney Sweat Limerick, aka Coda. And then we have Ryan, who's here.
Damn, I wanted to be here.
I take offense to that
Why?
because I don't like it.
You're saying is an incorrect description, or you're just saying you don't like that it's true?
I just don't like you pointing it out.
Ah, well, I'm
I
going to
don't,
keep
I
doing
don't even dislike that it's true because I quite enjoy the tournament scene.
that. That's what you get. Welcome back, boys. We are, for the first time in probably 2.5 months, we are on schedule recording exactly 2 weeks after the last episode.
Beautiful.
I think that almost deserves a round of applause, which we're not going to get because digital podcast. But
You just
I'm
instant applause.
applauding for you all in my heart. That's what we're doing right now.
Hey, careful with that. We know how that ends up.
Yeah. Well, it's happening anyways. Lots of stuff going on in the hobby lately. We've had the pre-orders go up for the Emperor's Children box. We've had the Codex rules leak and some interesting things that have come out of that. Coda's got some stuff that he wants to talk about tonight in terms of, like, playing the game and talking about the game and stuff. And we finally have an update on the Mechie Kickstarter from Tabletop Tactics came out this week. So lots of good stuff going on. Top of the show, let's talk real quick about the Emperor's Children stuff, because the leaks are interesting at the minimum. And there's some stuff that people are actually kind of upset about that I think we should talk about. You guys have seen that the Emperor's Children Codex actually gets rid of several units, as in Emperor's Children aren't allowed to take a number of things, which, to my understanding, I'm trying to pull the leaks to confirm this, doesn't include or includes Forge Fiends. They're not allowed to take Forge Fiends.
That makes sense.
Let's see. Cultists. There are no cultists.
Where are you reading this?
I'm on Spiky Bits right now. I'll send you the link if you want.
Yeah.
I'll post it in the group message for the channel so everybody can go check it out.
Limerick, don't you have a Forge Fiend?
So
I'm also not dirty EC.
Yeah.
All right, I understand.
So there are no cultists. There are no predators, no Forge Fiends. There are no defilers and hellbrutes.
Wow.
And there are no Terminator characters.
There's no characters to lead them.
Yep.
They can be joined by the cacophonists.
Cacophonists, I think is how you say that, but
I like
enough.
Which, I mean,
exactly.
Going off of World Leaders right now, World Leaders don't have anybody that leads Terminators.
Yep.
Hey, they don't need them.
And as for the losing the Hellbrute, the Defiler, and the Predators I'm a bit weird on, because that's an odd choice to me to lose. I can see why they lost all the quote-unquote possessed units.
Yeah.
Because EC are notoriously arrogant to the point where they won't get possessed. Like, they won't allow possession to happen. They're better than anything that demons could help them with.
Right, but then why no cultists? Like, cultists, I think, is the weird one because they love their worshippers.
Yeah, that is a weird one. I would half expect them to get their own cultists, like how World Eaters have jackals. So maybe it's a second round release. I don't know. Don't get me wrong. Anybody who brings cultists to the game is not bringing them to do anything other than sit on an objective.
Well, yeah.
The thing that surprises me the most is that they're not releasing them with any Terminator characters.
Well, and particularly be one of the primary Emperor's Children characters. Now, and I will acknowledge that this is Horus Heresy, but one of the primary characters for the Emperor's Children during the Heresy book series was a Terminator. So it's not like Terminator characters just aren't a thing. But, looking through their data sheets in the leaks, Noise Marines look kind of awesome.
They better.
Well, it's so.
I really enjoy the way they look.
So they have sonic blasters are their baseline weapons, which I mean for infantry weapons it's not bad. So the unit is 6. There's a disharmonist and 5 noise marines. Anytime they hit at least one thing in the shooting phase, they can pick an enemy unit that was hit. And until the start of your next shooting phase, so one full round, which includes your opponent's command phase, they take battle shock and leadership tests at -1, which can be really good for affecting your opponent's ability to hold points and do stratagems and stuff.
Real quick, are they 6 or are they 3 or 6?
No, they are 6.
They're 6.
They are a fixed 6.
Pretty
Pretty standard.
What's the Blastmaster?
That's
the
their heavy
weapon?
weapon, so they can bring
Is-
2 of those.
Okay.
Pretty standard Primaris-esque profile. T5, 3-up save, 2 wounds, 6-up leadership, OC1. Sonic blasters are actually quite good for infantry weapons. 3 attacks, hits on 3s, strength 5, AP1, D2 at 18 inches.
Yeah, isn't T5 Terminator strength now?
Some of them, I think.
Isn't T4 baseline space armor?
I thought Primaris are all T5. Maybe
They are
T4.
not. They're T4.
Okay.
Primaris are all T4.
Oh, no, I'm
That's
dumb. I'm thinking
MEQ.
Votan. That's my fault.
So
I'm too used to
equal
Votan data
Terminators,
sheets.
huh?
Well, they're sort of a mix because 3-up save, 2 wounds is Primaris. But T5 is tougher than... Oh my God, Colleen's here. Hi, Colleen.
Hey.
Oh, hi.
We actually have the whole crew. Holy mother of God. So T5 is Terminator toughness, but 3-up save, 2 wounds, 6+ leadership is they're heavy Marines, I guess is the better way to put it.
Yeah.
But the Blastmaster is a delightful profile. I actually kind of adore those. And the fact that you can bring 2 of them in a squad of 6 noise Marines,
It's kind of nasty.
it's nasty. Like the fact that they universally ignore cover too. Everything that they have for shooting ignores cover is awesome.
I would have expected sustain hits or dev wounds or something else. The ignore cover, it's a flamer.
Yeah, well, it's a flamer. You still have to roll to hit.
That's what I mean. So, like, don't get me wrong, the strength 10, AP -2, D3 profile for single frequency, like, that's going to hurt. But they're still hitting on 3s.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
It's just, it kind of depends what the detachment rules. I forgot to mention their army rule lets them shoot and declare charge when they advance or fall back. But when they do so, they can't target a unit they were in engagement range with at the start of the turn, and they can't target a unit that was the target of another unit's charge or attack this phase. So they have to attack something new, which is kind of fun, actually. I like it.
Yeah.
That
Um,
could spread them thin pretty well too, though. So
It can,
I think
but
it's
at
gonna.
the
if it's not
I think
done,
it's.
if it's not done right, that could be a detriment. But it is fun.
Yeah, it's one
Yeah.
of those that I think, in the words of Goonhammer, is going to require a bit of a higher skill ceiling in terms of, because like positioning is king,
Yeah, well,
and this is going to require very careful positioning.
that or just, you got to think about a turn ahead more than you would with other armies.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
do that at all.
Well,
What
but
I love about reading that.
Hmm.
Oh, sweet! You can't just fall back and murder blast my 8-pound.
Well, yeah, it means that
Not
they
with the
can't
same
just
unit anyway.
charge cycle constantly, but it does mean like as dumb as it sounds, and I think it's a flavorful way to put this. You almost have to like conduct the orchestra where like there's a flow state to the battle, and you have to be moving units around and managing using this ability effectively, because the ability only activates if they advance or fall back, right? So it means that if you've got something like the flawless blades, which we'll talk about in a second, and there's another threat coming up that the flawless blades are the best choice to deal with, you can fall back the flawless blades and charge into this other unit because of the fallback and charge, but you just can't like cycle them constantly, which the ability to cycle charge on Emperor's Children consistently would be terrifying. It would be scarier almost than World Eaters having the same thing. So that's I agree with the way that it was designed, and I do agree that it kind of assigns a skill floor to playing this army well, which I don't think is a bad. On the subject, actually, flawless blades. So flawless blades
It
are
looks so fucking mean.
right. They're 3 or 6. Every model is equipped with a bolt pistol and a bliss blade. Their ability is demonic patrons. So each time the unit's selected to fight, it can call upon demonic patrons. If it does until the end of the phase, each time a model in this unit makes an attack, an unmodified wound roll of 3+ scores a critical wound. At the end of the phase, if this unit called upon demonic patrons this phase and no enemy models were destroyed by attacks made by models in this unit this phase, one model in the unit's destroyed.
I also don't ever see that happening.
Well, I mean,
No.
okay, you got to look at like if they're fighting something like me, never ever will they call demonic patron.
No.
But at the
Or
same
actually,
time, 6 flawless blades with bliss blades.
it's still only 18 attacks, man.
I get that it's only 18 attacks, but into your average block of like high toughness infantry, strength 6 AP3 D2 is gonna do a decent amount of work.
That's fantastic.
I feel like if you have a full squatter, like at least 3, I feel like you're gonna easily kill
At least one
something that's
model.
not. Yeah,
And guaranteed wounding on a 3 against everything.
Yeah.
is nuts.
Well,
Like you could kill tanks super easy with these
Oh.
Yeah,
guys.
just to get
Yeah.
wounds on tanks. Even if you
Well,
don't-
okay, Limerick's point on how much damage they do, because it's a maximum, like it literally, if everything goes utterly flawless, it's 36 wounds, which means
Yeah.
on average, you're going to get through anywhere from like, I don't know, what, 10 to 18 Limerick, depending.
Well, so let's just
Actually, I have an app for this. Hold on.
18 attacks at 60, or sorry, at 70
80%.
to 80%. So you're failing 2 of those. Almost
Or
4.
is it 80? 80.
18
Yeah, so
attacks,
they only fail. It's a 13% fail or 16% fail.
Yeah.
hitting on 2s,
0.33 repeating, of course.
strength 6, AP.
I heard that, Mark. Leroy Jenkins.
D2.
So, like, my issue is this, and again, looking from a competitive player, from a World Eater player, I was horribly worried about EC.
Well, okay, so Limerick, what is the one thing that you would run at Flawless Blades to deal with them? Like what?
My APM.
Okay, so give me their defensive profile: toughness, wounds, save.
Toughness 6, invul save 5, wounds 3 apiece, and because most times I have it, it's a 5 of feel no pain.
What's their base armor save?
3.
I'll run
Okay.
Corbex into that.
So they're saving on 5s.
It depends.
Oh,
Saving on
interesting.
5s with 5 up feel no
Oh,
pain.
wait.
Yeah.
Not
This
bad.
should be
Essentially, they're pretty close to the same profile as Flawless Blades, aren't they?
So the difference being is that the Flawless Blades for a group of 16 gets, sorry, not a group of 16, that's a large group. For a group of 6, gets 18 attacks, right?
yeah.
No, you get more,
That's-
obviously.
That's what I get for my strength 15 profile.
Yeah.
So yeah, Math Hammer says that, like, let's assume the Flawless Blades get the charge. On average, they killed 2.3 exalted 8-pound in a single round of fighting.
Okay.
So on average, they pick up 2.
And that's without the
third.
feel no pain being factored because this doesn't have a field for it.
Yeah. So I mean, my
Probably
issue
2.
is I have a hard time with anything that just picks up your own models.
Yeah.
Like we're not talking about a does D3 mortal wounds and therefore you could survive it. No, you just lose a 6 of your power.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And then it makes it even harder to pull it the second time.
Yeah.
Yep. So
That's
it's
fair.
a whole thing.
I think they're going to be
Rick's so
really
upset he's
good
not
into
even-
some things. I think they're
That
going to
being
be.
said, they are going to walk all over like dreadnoughts or sentinels, maybe even a Lehman Russ.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll eviscerate the guard.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Well, I'm thinking like tougher targets where like if you have 6 of them, a Ballistus Dreadnought has what, 15 wounds, 12 wounds.
It's I think 12. Yeah,
Somewhere
because
in there.
it's only 2 points for bring it down.
How many?
Oh.
What's the average wounds I could put on Robo to kill him in with this squad?
It's hard to say. Well, okay,
important.
my math hammer thing doesn't handle it well because the ability to just give themselves we wound on 3s, fuck you, is a lot.
Pretty
but-
spicy for a guard.
And again, that's unmodified. So if you roll a 2 with a +1 wound, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, no,
Understood.
100%.
Now, this is without looking at any of the HQs. If suddenly you have an HQ that gives them something to benefit off that critical wound,
Yeah.
because it's not just wounds; it's a critical wound.
Mm-hmm.
So if you suddenly give them dev wounds, and now half their wounds are just going to go straight through everything.
Yeah.
Gotta be a way, right?
Yeah, it's a
Actually,
whole thing.
I'm sure there's going to be.
Lucius can lead flawless blades, but he does literally nothing for them.
What?
Okay.
He actually loses buffs for leading them.
What?
Duelist Hubris. At the start of the fight phase, if this model is not leading a unit until the end of the phase, it has the fight's first ability.
Oh.
Oh.
Okay.
So he also has Lone Up.
Ah. Okay.
Lucius is a named model, right? You can't have.
Lucius is named. Yeah, he's a named hero.
It's a slightly better Master of Executions.
I like that guy.
Yeah. Seems like it.
Let's see.
Well, because I mean, even then, I don't know. Master Execution just says unit fight first, and it has the rerolling characters.
Well, this one it rerolls.
Yeah, there are no
hit roll and wound rolls
there
against
are
characters,
no other
monsters, or
leaders that can
walkers.
attach to flawless blades.
What the hell, bro?
That's weird.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know.
And
They're
it's the
good,
limitations
they're
of
just
any
not
new
winning.
army that has a small list.
That's fair. But like they had the whole, I don't know, they had the whole selection of things from Chaos Space Marines to bring, and instead they're like, no, we're just not going to give demons a codex, and we'll shove demons into the EC codex. That's a great plan.
Speaking of that, because you just brushed on it, but I'm really excited to see how that detachment works out.
Oh, it's going to be fun. Before we get there though, let's talk about my least favorite part of the codex, which is Fulgrim. Because
Another
reasons.
Primarch.
Fulgrim's nuts. Have you seen this yet?
I haven't. No.
So just starting with his stat line, he moves 16 inches.
Oh.
He is toughness 11. He has a 2-up save and a 4-up in vuln, 16 wounds, a 5-up on leadership, and OC 6.
He moves a bit quicker than Angron, but everything else is roughly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't have an invuln though, or a pillow pan.
He doesn't have a feel no pain. He he has some abilities though. So he has one range weapon, which is his Malefic Lash. Has sustained hits 1, 12 inches, 6 attacks, hits on 2, strength 8, AP 2d2. It's there. It actually reminds me a lot of the shooting profile on the Lancer. It exists because it can, and it's like that's not why you're bringing this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the lantern on Morty.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, the lantern.
Honestly, though, it's slightly worse than the lantern because it's not a pistol, but 6 attacks is a big benefit.
I was gonna say the lantern gets 1 attack.
Well, and okay, we'll get to the reason that it is kind of terrifying that he has it at all, though. Melee weapons, he has demonic blades. They have a strike and a sweep profile. The strike profile is terrifying. 6 attacks, hits on 2s, strength 14, AP 3, D6 plus 1 damage with sustained hits 1.
Just give me a solid 4 damage. Stop giving me swingy damage.
Yeah, they love swingy damage. It's like if I had to pick a theme for this edition, it's D6 damage.
No, okay. I'm gonna fight that one. I'm gonna
Why?
fight it hard. Everything that's D6 damage is anti-tank.
That's
Well,
true,
yeah.
right, same thing.
Everything
Yeah,
that's
that's what
D6
you-
damage is anti-tank. It's last cannon or higher.
That's okay, fair.
And so it would feel just as dirty to have a las cannon blow up your Lumen Russ in one shot because it's D24.
Why not just pick
Right.
the average damage though?
Yeah.
No.
Because I think spikes like the idea. It feeds into the idea that las cannon ripped into something important.
I suppose that's fair.
Well, there's
Um,
also just, I mean, tabletop games in like dice games in general. A lot of the time, designers like the idea of dice having an impact, and
yeah.
like not guaranteeing anything.
It would be nice.
I feel like they have enough of an impact already.
Agreed. I just
Yeah.
I'm less of an issue with it because it's only ever seen in like strength 14 plus.
That is fair. I will give you that. And they have been moving to like D6 plus X rather than 2D6, right? Like I look at the Tyrann
Mhm.
effects. And
Yeah,
D6
D6
plus
plus
X,
X.
I like. That's good. Sweet
Yeah,
profile in the
that's
blades is also very good. Still sustained hits 1, 12 attacks, hits on 2, strength 8, AP 2, D2. That is just like a fucking lawnmower for Marines.
Yeah, pick up some.
Serpentine Tail has extra attacks, so he gets 6 bonus attacks, hits on 2, strength 6, AP 1, D1. Still like nothing to sneeze at. His abilities for Demon Primarch of Slanesh, beguiling form. Each time a model makes an attack that targets this model, subtract 1 from the hit roll, so he's got permanent stealth. Demonic
Nice.
Speed. This model has the Fight's first ability, which is nuts.
Oh my god.
Enthralling Hypnosis. While an enemy is within 6 inches of this model, each time that unit is selected to fall back, it must take a leadership test. If that test has failed, that unit must remain stationary instead. So, fuck you, stay put.
Yep.
You know,
Um,
can I tell you why those 3 are insane?
yeah,
Every other Primarch, you have to choose it on your command phase.
he does
Yeah.
have the same thing. I was just getting to that.
No.
Demon Primarch of
Opponent's
Slanesh. The
command
start of your
phase.
opponent's command phase, select one of the abilities in the Demon Primarch. Until the start of your opponent's next command phase, this model has that ability.
Yeah, you're right. Angron is my phase, my charge phase.
Oh, it's
Uh,
opponents versus yours.
Yeah, so in your opponent's phase, if you get him stuck in and you're like, yeah, he's not leaving anywhere, no, who fights first now?
Oh, that is very nasty, actually.
Yeah.
Now, it
Yeah,
is
choose-
opponent's command phase, which is nice, but like that's mean.
It just means that you don't have to worry about getting socked in somewhere and losing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but now we're going to talk about his other ability, which is the thing that I fucking hate most about this goddamn piece of shit warp snake bastard.
Oh my god.
His
Yeah,
ability
that's
is
a-
called
I
Demonic
really do.
Poisons. In your shooting phase and the fight phase, after this model has finished making its attacks, select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks. Until the end of the battle, that enemy unit is poisoned. At the start of each player's command phase, roll a d6 for each poisoned enemy unit on the battlefield. On a 4+, that enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds.
Are you kidding?
Are you
me?
kidding?
No.
I love that.
You have to track which units are poisoned.
You have to keep track of what's poisoned, and even if Fulgrim dies, you keep taking ticking mortal wounds on a 4+, and it's on both command phases.
Holy shit.
And he can tag 2 units a turn.
Yeah. shooting
No, he
Empire.
can tag 3. If he's stuck in with 2 things, because the Serpentine
Oh,
Tail
yeah.
gets extra attacks, he can attack 2 different units in melee.
Yeah, but you only get to select one unit hit by one or more of those attacks.
Oh, select one enemy unit hit by 1 or more. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
so it's still 2 per
still.
turn.
But yeah, and
But
that's where like
the flip side of it is, and this is where I think we need an FAQ, in your shooting phase and the fight phase. So does that mean on your
it's both fight
on your-
phases. Yeah,
Mm.
Yeah, so then he's racking in 3 poisons
per
around.
battle round. Yeah. And
Oh.
because of the army ability that lets him fall back, shoot, and charge as long as he's targeting different things, you know how fast he's going to be able to spread that shit around?
Oh, he's gonna have it on the whole army
With
until he
16
dies.
inches of movement and fly.
Yeah.
It's like Fulgrim's not like the Carnifex comes in, destroys my shit. He's just like, oh, comes around, tickles you, and then you explode 2 minutes later.
Like, I just.
If he doesn't explode you himself.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's the thing.
That
Like you're
description-
looking.
Here's the part that's going to make Coda really angry, though. You ready for this? He's gonna get so mad we're not gonna be able to understand a word he says because he'll be yelling at the roof instead of at his mic.
Oh my god.
Fulgrim
I
is
thought it was just his
385
mic.
points.
How much?
No way.
385.
He's cheap. Oh, are you
He's
kidding?
50 points less than Angron.
So it's
He's the cheapest Primarch.
Uh-huh.
Morty's cheaper, I think,
That's gonna
but
get
he
changed
deserves to be
real quick.
cheaper.
Well, yeah, Morty sucks.
Yeah.
Still a Primarch, but Morty sucks. But
Oh my god.
385 points. So 50 points less than Angron and arguably scarier.
I would think
he's scary.
Yeah.
Angron's a big hammer, but I can't have him multi-direct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God. Hey. How? What is an army's response to someone bringing the Fulgrim? Like, what would I run against?
I
Buck on a heavy
surrender.
tank.
I
yeah.
surrender.
No, I mean, legitimately though, just the biggest, longest distance guns you can like the
Yeah.
only way to deal with him is to try and kill him before he
Actually,
can
yeah.
get basically
Anything
before
burn-
he can ping pong.
Maybe that's a
Bunch of
better answer
guns.
is basilisks
Bunch of anti-tank.
or a Titan.
I guess he's got no feel no pain, right? So I can hit with
No
mortal
feel, no
wounds.
pain, but he does have
Yeah,
a
no.
2-up 4-pop. Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
They gave him uphill, no pain too. Oh, good lord.
Now, the
They
part
would-
that so we said that it doesn't really matter because it's not all that important, right?
uh-huh.
Feel no pains?
And then his weapon, his ranged weapon.
Yeah.
Oh,
All of a sudden it matters a lot.
yeah.
Well, and there's no getting away from it
Yep.
because he's probably a monster.
Yeah, I can't
Okay,
see
question.
his
Oh.
keywords from the leak.
So the army rule where you can fall back, shoot,
And
charge,
charge.
and advance, right?
Yeah, so you can shoot and charge after a fallback or advance.
Okay. So so say I don't know, so say Fulgrim charges like I don't know, Death Shroud Terminators.
Yep.
He leaves them and then he can just charge somebody 6 inches away.
Well, no, he can.
But he can't shoot or melee that unit he just fell out of combat with.
Yeah, he can't shoot. Well, because the other caveat on the ability, he can't shoot. So after an advance or a fallback, so let's say he falls back from those death shrouds,
Uh-huh.
he can't shoot or charge the death shrouds or anything else that has been attacked or charged by anything else in the army.
Not targeting a unit that was the target of another unit's charge.
Or attack this phase.
Oh, so this whole army basically they can't heroic intervene
They can,
unless
as long as they didn't advance or fall back.
Okay.
So that those restrictions only kick in on advance and fallback.
It does mean that you can't pile in a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, you
So,
can't daisy
like-
chain a bunch of fallbacks and then
Might have to try
You can
these
do what I
guys.
do with my 8-pound, which is Exalted run into you, then the regular 8-pound run into you, then
yeah.
Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah, it's not an etc.
One thing
et
I
cetera, et
will
cetera.
say is it makes a real problem for people who try to castle or group up because if your units are all in one place, they can just fall back and switch out.
Oh, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Well, they could. Well, yeah, as long as
That's the thing. If you have units close enough together that they engage with, they can basically just pull swapsies every turn.
Yeah,
And-
essentially.
Like it's not gonna be a problem. So it might actually be a thing to try and spread them out, basically.
But if well,
So if you've
they
got
can't
2 units
swap
side,
these, right?
they can, as long as they have an attacked or charge. So if you've got 2 units of Death Shroud Terminators and you've
Yeah.
got Lucius fighting one and Fulgrim fighting the other, they
Right.
both fall back in the movement phase, and then Fulgrim can shoot at the ones that Lucius was fighting because Lucius hasn't attacked them this turn. And then Lucius can charge the ones that Fulgrim was fighting, and Fulgrim can charge the ones that Lucius was fighting.
I thought that's directly what it was. It was saying
No,
you
because
couldn't
neither of
do.
them has made an attack. So as soon as, like, if there was a third unit of Death Shrouds in the middle and Fulgrim fell back and then attacked those ones in the middle, Lucius can't charge those, and Lucius has no charge targets. But Fulgrim can attack Lucius's former opponents as long as Lucius has not
Oh,
attacked
because
them
it's
this
sort of a
turn.
new turn.
Right.
So if you fall,
The other thing I should say, so it's they can't basically do it on a unit that they were engaging with at the start of the turn, right? That's
Yeah.
the turn one. The other one is they cannot target a unit that was the target of another unit's charge or attack this phase.
Right. Oh, is it phase
Which
specific?
means-
yeah, it's phase.
Yeah, so they
Oh,
can
God.
both
Okay. So
fall back.
so that does mean
and
that you
then
can
just
shoot
charge
with
the
Noise
opposite.
Marines and then charge using the
And then
ability.
you can charge using Fulgrim or whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of Lucius,
So it's
though,
as gross as I thought it
he's
was.
a really good character. 8 inches of movement, runs like the fucking wind.
Oh, he is,
T5,
wow.
2 up save, 4 up invuln, 6 wounds, OC1. His weapons are impressive, I'll be honest. He has a 5 up feel no pain. He has the ability to lead flawless blades, which, as mentioned previously, is kind
Sorry,
of a
this is
worthless ability.
Lucius?
This is Lucius, yeah.
And what's his
Um,
movement?
8 inches.
That actually makes it. I mean, he can be a bit of a nuke, but it also makes him a pretty good scoring piece.
Well, he's a good scoring piece because he's got lone operative. So you have to get to him. But if you get to him, then he's got so he's got the Blade of the Lair, and the Lash of Torment. Blade of the Lair has precision, 6 attacks, hits on 2, strength 8, AP 3, 3 damage.
He's
So
a character killer.
well,
Well, because it's an interesting thing. Because a lot of like lone op points pieces are often like sniper units and stuff. Where if you can, like, if you're playing Tyranids and you can chuck a lictor on them, they're screwed.
mhm.
But he's not got the same problems if something jumps on him.
Well, and so because Duelist Hubris gives him fights first as long as he's not leading a unit, he literally just gives the middle finger to everything that tries to fight him. And then a challenge worthy of skill. Each time this model makes an attack that targets a character, monster, or walker unit, you can reroll the hit roll and you can reroll the wound roll. So full
Yeah, so you kill the
rerolls.
character and then it just spills over into all the bodyguards.
Yeah, so with the precision blade, you can absolutely just well, and because the bodyguards count as a character unit, because there's a character attached to them.
Oh, so you could just target the bodyguards first.
Right,
When
which
it's
then you can
based
use
on-
the Lash
the
of Torment
rerolls.
if that's effective, because it's got sustain. This picture's terrible. It
I
might be
think
sustained
it's-
hits 2.
I think it's 2.
But then
it's real.
10 attacks, hits on 2s, it's strength 4, AP 1d1. So like it's basically a sweet profile. But Blade of the Lair is terrifying. So yeah, that's a whole thing. Lucius is very scary. The Cacophonist is my personal favorite leader, though. One, because it just looks goddamn sick. 6 inches of movement, T5, 2 up armor save, 4 up invuln save, 6 wounds. Comes with a screamer pistol at range. And importantly, so he can lead Emperor's Children Terminators and Noise Marines, which is the big one. He can lead Noise Marines. Obsessive Enunciation is his first ability. While this model is leading a unit, ranged weapons equipped by models in that unit have the Sustained Hits 1 ability. So
yeah.
he gives Noise Marines sustained hits.
Gotcha.
I think the demon detachment, if they're within 6, and basically you have to keep demon units and EC units within 6 inches of each other.
Yep.
They get sustained 1 from that, and if they already have it, they crit on 5s.
Yeah,
Which
I
makes
remember
this
seeing that.
horrible.
It's insane. And then he also has the Doom Siren ability. In your shooting phase after this model's unit has shot. So important to note, all he has is a Screamer pistol. So 12 inches, pistol, 3 shots, hits on 2, strength 5, AP 1,
Well, he gets that in a power sword, or he can take 2 of them.
Yes.
You can
Wait,
take
where
2
can he...
what?
Model's power sword can be replaced. Oh, he can dual wield Screamer pistols.
Oh.
Yeah, he
I
either
actually
gets a
like that
pistol and a
loadout a lot
sword,
better.
or he can dual wield the pistols.
Yeah. But then the Doom Siren in your shooting phase after this model's unit has shot. So he doesn't have to shoot specifically to trigger Doom Siren. Select one enemy infantry unit hit by 1 or more of those attacks and roll 3d6. For each 4+, that enemy unit suffers 1 mortal wound. If an enemy unit suffers 1 or more mortal wounds as a result of this ability, it must take a battle shock test. keep
And
in
they're at
mind
-1.
they're at -1 from the noise marines then. So these guys are just battle shock farmers. Like,
Yeah.
I legitimately would run 3 units of these if I was playing EC.
Yeah, these suck.
These seem pretty fucking mean.
Yeah.
Especially with those big heavy guns.
And those still get sustained hits 1 from the cacophonist.
Yeah.
How many points are these guys?
I don't have the points values in front of me, but I would expect the cacophonist to be somewhere between 120 and 150.
Yeah, cacophonist is 70.
70?
Oh.
Jesus.
Insane.
Cacophonist is 70.
I mean,
How much are noise marines?
Noise marines for 6 is 135. So that's 200.
So 205 points for Terminator farming, sustained hits, fuck your leadership. Like,
100% bringing 3 units of those.
yeah. Yeah, 3 of those.
I was gonna
And
say for
they're
like
perma
the
6,
apothecary
right?
biologist is 70, and
Yeah,
I don't
they're-
think he's
they're
as much of a force multiplier as this thing is.
6. We
Yeah.
now
All right, that's disgusting.
just to kind of keep moving down the list, because this is going to take a minute if we don't. We have found our first battle line unit, which is Tormentors. They are standard mech profile. It looks like T4, 3 up save, 2 wounds, move 7 inches, so they're a little fast. Pretty standard weapon selection: bolt gun, melta-gun, plasma pistol.
And they get
close combat.
infiltrators.
And they are infiltrators, yes,
Hmm.
which is insane because you can bring a unit of 10 of them.
The fact that you can just, I mean, like, I know Marines have a number of different ways of giving different Marine units infiltrators, but the fact that your baseline MEQ battle line unit just has it is nuts.
Well,
And they're
so
CP farmers.
they are CP farmers, but they're also, so a block of 10 of them is OC2 or OC20, I should say. And they have the same ability that they gave Knights, where they sticky an objective and you have to beat OC20 to take it.
Did they?
Yep. At the end of
Yeah.
your command phase, if this unit is within range of an objective marker you control, that objective marker remains under your control until your opponent's level of control over that objective marker is greater than yours at the end of the phase.
Oh,
More bullshit.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, the CP thing. At the end of your shooting phase or the fight phase, if the bearer's unit destroyed 1 or more enemy units that phase, the bearer's unit takes a leadership test. If that test is passed, you gain 1 CP.
That Rapture
So
Lash.
basically, you're gonna
mean,
take
too.
3 of these things, stick them on all of the No Man's objectives, and just laugh.
Now, here's an important question, because Coda's got the points values in front of him. How much is a unit of Tormentors?
Give me a second. I was looking up something else. God damn it. Caught me with my pants down. Again.
Wow. I mean,
Good.
yay, but
That's the way
also,
I
wow.
I can ad-lib, I can improvise in the meantime. And do a little dance.
Okay, that was the Tormentors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 models, 190.
It's a little
That
pricey
models
for a battle line
190.
unit. That's actually not bad.
That is pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Now, the problem here is their other battle line unit is also 190 and does not do nearly the neat things.
Oh, infractors are so bad.
Actually,
by
well, okay,
comparison.
come to think of it, regular Chaos Space Marines are 180 for 10, so they're not actually that much more expensive.
Well, and to get infiltrators and a CP farm and the level of control sticky, like,
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So first off, it looks like the icons of excess are what gives the CP gain. So that's gonna be on everything.
well, yeah,
Yeah.
you're gonna take an icon of excess. There's no, because it doesn't
Well,
take
it's just-
away a weapon either.
No, it's what happens with the icon of corn. Just allows me
Yeah.
to reroll one of my blessing die.
Yeah.
Infractors are basically the same profile, but they're a little more melee focused. The dueling sabers, power swords, rapture lash. The infractor versions all have precision. Infractors have scout 6. So just sort of a melee alternative for battle line. It is nice to see that you kind of got an option for like shooty EC or melee EC, which I'm very
Yeah,
happy
so
with.
Marines
and
versus
they-
regular Marines.
I will say, like, Scout 6 kind of leans into them moving up on you pretty quickly, but I think I'm glad they didn't give them both infiltrators, because if you could infiltrate infractors, that would be
That'd be insane.
horrific.
That'd be nuts.
Like, that is just so much reach.
Do you
with a
want to
melee
hear what's really, really horrifying though?
Yes.
We have
So-
yet another character, the Lord Exultant. He is essentially an Emperor's Children lieutenant. similar stat profile to both infractors
He
and
gets an invuln
tormentors.
save.
Yeah, 3
more
up
like a
save, 4
captain.
up invuln. So I guess yeah, more like a captain technically. You can kind of kit him out like he's pistol and melee, so kit it a little bit more akin to the infractors, I think it is. Yeah, the
Why does he
infractors.
come with 2 pistols? What's the point of that?
What do you mean?
Model is equipped with bolt pistol, plasma pistol.
Oh yeah.
Because they can be replaced
You
with
don't
one of
have-
the following.
You don't have to
Yeah, the
pick one.
plasma pistol you can replace with more melee weapons.
Oh.
And the Screamer pistol replaces the Phoenix Power Spear, which honestly, that Phoenix Power Spear is very nice. But I would like to point you all to his ability Perfectionists.
Oh,
Who else have a lethal hits ability?
unnecessary.
So he can give a full block of 10 Tormentors lethal hits.
Oof.
And then Excessive Assault, if he's leading Infractors, is or sorry, Euphoric Strikes leading Infractors.
It's for battle at the start of the fight phase.
Yeah. This is gonna be the most crazy army that I will never see in person ever.
So
3
can-
attack characters as a melee weapons. Damn.
I
Yeah,
like
so that-
how they got around the Lord of Hosts problem.
Lord of the Host. Yeah. Actually, I really like that.
They
Hey, I
can't
will-
give him. They can't give him those abilities, but if he doesn't have those abilities when he's in those units, neither do those units.
Yep.
I will say with euphoric strikes, it's really like that's the basically a slight variation of what Space Marine regular primaries captains get.
Okay. Well, that's entirely fair, but it still makes him like if he's got a mastercrafted power sword, for example, you pop that when you charge into a unit and just delete their character, and then you let the infractors just murder everything else.
Yeah.
So very, very nasty. Then we have the rules for the demons, daemonettes, fiends, keeper of secrets, all still very scary.
Very fast.
Very fast, very mean, lots of nasty abilities. I know a lot of people are upset about moving demons into the respective codexes, but I don't think it's going to be a bad thing for the overall health of the game. I don't know that you can do much with demons outside of what they've already done, and a demon's codex I don't think would have gone well.
Well, I think it worked really well in Age of Sigmar, and I honestly think, yeah, I don't know. I think it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it also helps you like.
Chaos Codex.
Sorry?
We got the regular Chaos Codex, right? Already?
Yes.
The base CSM codex, yeah.
But we haven't gotten Death Guard or any of
No.
the other variants.
None of the factionals.
No.
Those
but-
are all supposed to be coming next, though, I think.
They're soon, yeah.
I like what they did with the Demon Prince without wings. Sorry, without wings.
Without wings?
Yeah.
Wait, what'd they do?
So if he's within 3 inches of one or more friendly Slanesh infantry models, he gets lone operative.
Oh.
So you can't just nuke him. And then, well, a friendly Slanesh unit is within 6 inches of that model. If that unit made a charge move on this turn, improve their armor pen by 1. So he's a force multiplier that isn't just out on the field right now, because that's what mine is.
Yeah. That's actually really nice. Pair him up with a bunch of fiends and they become very nasty.
I actually made him useful.
Yeah.
Yeah, which has me a little bit worried about the Death Guard Codex, I'm going to be honest, because if Morty and Nurgle demons get the same degree of love that Emperor's Children and Slanesh demons have, like they're going to be fucking nasty.
Yeah.
And then detachments all seem to be sort of played around different play styles. You've got Rapid Evisceration, which is fast assault and transport play. Fearless Bladesmen or melee specialists. Slanesh is chosen, character duels and leadership buffs. Carnival of Excess, critical hits and synergy buffs. Mercurial Host, speed and
That's the
mobility.
demons one.
Which one is the Carnival?
Carnival, yeah.
Yeah, so synergy buffs is like bringing demons and Emperor's Children so that they all play nice
Yeah.
together. Mercurial
Pairing
Host,
'em up
speed and
with 6
mobility, and then Coterie of the Conceited, power stacking and pact-based upgrades.
Interesting.
So, let's see, what's the summary for what each of them do? So, Rapid Evisceration, which is assault and transports. Infantry disembarking from transports get rerolls to hit and wound. Stratagems allow for mid-movement disembarks, extra transport flexibility, and charge rerolls. Strong choice for players who love fast mechanized aggression. I honestly probably would play that one because it works best with shooty options. You can stick noise marines with a cacophonist into a rhino and just create a mobile murder ball.
I don't know if
Rhino-
it's just like latent trauma, but I just do not like transport based
There's
detachments.
there's 100% latent trauma there, and I'm kind of sorry, but I'm also kind of not.
I literally just like anytime I
Yeah,
see like a
yeah.
mechanized, use transports, get back into transports, all that stuff. Like I just don't even look. I'm like, not interested.
See, okay, Colleen, here's a tip for the next time you play Ryan. On around round 3, when he's starting to do like get into his momentum, just go, wait, did I see a Chaos Rhino?
You
Yeah.
asshole. I've been hitting the story
Yeah,
for
really
years.
throw
It's
him
just
for
the
a loop.
I mean,
same
I'll just
trauma every
throw
time.
it out there. She did beat me in our last game. It's not like she needs
By
too
1
much
point.
help.
It's still
Hey,
it's
Hybrid
a win
bad.
is a
I
win.
don't-
Listen, a win is a win. I'll be the first to say it.
you made
And
it sound like it's not.
no, it is 100%. I'm
That's
saying
specifically what I wanted to ask everybody.
Yes, I
What?
gotta win.
The segues perfectly into what I want to ask everybody.
oh, do we want to segue now? I was going to talk about the other detachments.
Yeah,
No,
Limerick
this
wants to
is just a
segue.
small. This is just a small segment.
Okay, interrupt us. You can what's the
So, Colleen, you say you won by 1 point, right? And that's
Yep.
a win-win, and everything's good.
Mm.
I ran into a situation a couple weeks ago
Talking to your mic.
where, sorry, I ran into a situation a couple weeks ago where I played a game and I won, like overtly well. But I know for a fact I could not have done that again. Like his dice sucked, my dice were great. Like it just, you play that game out 99 times, I'm losing 99 times.
Mhm.
So my question to you guys is if the fun, so if your opponent is just as good quality in both games, what is a more easy game to stomach? The one where you lose that 1 out of 100 times, or the one where you win that 1 out of 100 times?
I don't know if this just makes me as I'd like to think I'm not too sore of a loser.
No,
Thank-
you're not. He's better than me.
I get credit it all to the 1 year that I played club volleyball, and basically they made us play a year up because they were changing the rules for younger teams, and the club didn't like it, and we won a single game our entire season.
It's like my whole life.
We just got like crushed, and so I kind of learned to lose a little bit. But for me, like, I don't know, there's a certain exhilaration, even if you couldn't repeat it. There's not not necessarily in the way that you had it, Limerick, where it's just like because their dice suck and your dice are great, but like, you make a couple Hail Mary plays and maybe one of them pays off, and like, I don't know, I find that kind of exhilarating when it kind of pans out, even if it's not necessarily something you could replicate.
Mhm.
So to give it a bit of context, the game I played, not only did his dice suck, he failed every single charge he tried.
Yeah,
That's awful.
I wouldn't want to play a game like that again. Like I mean, I feel like if I go up against an opponent, I kind of have a kind of already gauge where our kind of experience levels are at just by I've known them a bit. We talked about the set the game or whatever. They'll probably let me know how long they've been playing the game. If they come to the table and we both do good things, all this stuff, it just comes down to the dice rolls. I wouldn't want to play a game like that personally. I would want there to be, like I want the decisions I have on the game to have more impact than the luck, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was gonna say it does feel kind of bad to have a blowout game
Oh, you
or a
can.
crazy win just because your opponent's dice screwed them.
Yeah, and vice versa too. Like if you can have the best laid plans and you can be the smartest player there, and if your dice decide to screw you over, there's only so many things you can do to
Yep.
keep correcting that.
I
That
think
is
we-
also absolutely infuriating. Is to
I
know
speak
to
from
know that you
experience.
lost because your dice just
Yeah.
weren't agreeing with you is really annoying.
Then,
It's
like,
infuriating.
I would
think the
actually
opposite
rather
also is true.
lose to my dice than win to my opponent's dice.
Yeah.
Because it feels more genuine.
Well, it's like if my dice are screwing me, I know I didn't necessarily do anything wrong, right? But
Mm-hmm.
if his dice are screwing him, I don't know if I did anything right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like if my dice are suddenly very hot and I'm like picking up models that I honestly shouldn't be picking up, I feel kind of weird.
Yeah.
Personally.
Mm.
Like almost apologetic. Like you did I made a mistake, you did everything right, I'm still winning this engagement somehow. I'm so sorry.
It does feel kind of bad, yeah. I agree that I think if it's down to the dice screwing you or your opponent's dice screwing them, it definitely feels like it's really annoying to get screwed over by your own dice, but I think I would prefer that over winning a game without like not because I won, but because
Yeah.
my opponent's dice made
Yeah.
them lose.
Really?
That's
Who would like to-
never a fun experience.
Oh, 100%. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I've completely lost my train of thought on the Emperor's Children stuff. So if you're interested in seeing the leaks, definitely go look them up. Pretty much the only things we haven't talked about is the points and the other detachments, but the detachments are they're good, honestly.
There's
like
one
looking
for
through
everybody.
them. Well, and that's just it. The detachments really feel like they did a good job of being looking at attachment and saying, what is the play style for this detachment? Because that's what the detachment should control. Not not exclusively which models do you want to bring, but how do you want to play with the army?
Yeah.
Yes.
So
There's detachments should just give you a different way to like obviously I don't think there's any way for them to do detachments in a way that like you could use every model in an army range in any detachment and still make it usable. But it should be like yeah, I don't know. I don't think a detachment that is like if you want to run this detachment, you have to take this selection of units because that's the only thing that works with it. I don't like that.
well, okay, I will say having like because they do have one detachment that's very much like these are the models that you want to bring for this. But having 1 out of 6 be that way and the like another 1 out of 6 that's a different version of that and then 4 that are a little bit more generic and it's like this is how this plays and you can kind of do this or you can do this with it. That's good detachment design. I'm very happy with the detachment design in the EC Codex overall. I think they've done a good job of it.
I do think like broadly speaking, I think the codexes have been improving over the course of the edition.
Yep, they have. They're finally starting to listen to certain people, I think.
The very last attachment in that in the codex on the leak is very interesting.
The coterie of the conceited.
Yeah, it's like a pledge pack gameplay. Like you get bonuses the more units you kill if you correctly guess how many units you're going to kill that turn.
Huh. Yeah, the note that's on here says take some finesse but offers huge payoffs late game.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like that. I would love to have a detachment like this for Chaos Knights. I legitimately would. It'd be a lot of fun.
I would be
No.
bad at it, but it sounds fun.
Nope, I don't want it. I don't want to have to think about when I'm going to kill something. I just want to run into it and have it die.
Says the World Eaters player.
why
This
Go
is
sit
why
down.
you play World Eaters.
Limerick, you have a guard army. What are you talking about?
He's working
And
on
he's
not having a
selling.
guard army. That's why he's playing World Eaters now.
Understood.
Listen, Limerick, okay, here's the thing. We're going to give you a knife and a little piece of wood. You go sit in the corner and just stab the wood repeatedly. The grown-ups will talk over here, okay?
Oh my god.
Okay.
Okay.
Has there been actually, speaking of knights, has there been any news or leaks about what their combat patrol rules are supposed to be?
I actually have the Combat Patrol magazine right beside me on the table.
Oh,
I went and I picked it up.
okay.
My FLGS got it on Saturday, and so I picked it up and I got it.
We baguette, yes, I'm so fancy.
We can talk about it if you want. Honestly, like because there's both Imperial and Chaos versions in here. And legitimately, I think the Combat Patrol is better than our mainline detachment.
Oh, god damn.
They did honestly though. I'm really happy with the way that they handled putting knights into Combat Patrol. I have a mild concern on the Imperial side of things because the whole idea with Combat Patrol is that you buy one box and you play the game, right?
Yep.
And so on the Chaos side of things, where it's a War Dog Stalker and a War Dog Brigand, you can build that in a single box of the War Dogs. On the Imperial side, it's a Knight Armiger and a Knight Helverin, which are separate boxes.
Yeah.
So unless we're getting a single kit box for Armigers
Right.
that can build both the Helverin and the Warglaive, it didn't really do what it's supposed to do. So I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see them do that to turn the Armigers into a single kit box. But yeah, so Armiger Trailblazers is the Imperial one. You have Dantos, or Pilot Dantos, and Thovir is the Helverin. It's a Helverin. The rules don't change. The way it works for both combat patrols is that you pick one of the two knights to be your warlord. You can pick either one. And then they gain an automatic enhancement. You don't get to pick what their enhancement is. It's based on which one is the warlord. And then Pilot Morrigan and Virador is the Warglaive. The default warlord is the Helverin. It is a CP farmer. Each time the bearer destroys an enemy character unit, roll 1d6 on a 2-up, you gain 1 CP. Most combat patrols have one character, so really not worth doing.
Yeah.
Versus if you pick the Warglaive as the optional enhancement for your warlord, once per battle at the start of the fight phase, the bearer can use this enhancement. If it does until the end of the phase, the bearer has Feel No Pain 6-up.
Okay, that's fine.
The other thing that they did, though, with both Knight combat patrols that is really cool is the Knight combat patrols actually cannot play the primary for the mission. They also can't pick secondaries. They get unique objectives that is the only objective they can score on.
Really?
Yeah. So their detachment ability for the Armigers is called Household Vanguard. This combat patrol represents a highly specialized task force of Imperial Knights Armigers sent in to sweep and clear enemy positions. As such, its data sheets do not use the normal Imperial Knights faction ability, and the combat patrol does not follow the usual rules when playing combat patrol mission. You will not score any VP from the mission's primary objectives, nor will you have a choice of secondary objectives. So focused are the Imperial Knights on their singular task, you will only be able to score VP from the Gouge a Foothold objective, see opposite. In addition, in your command phase, select one Armiger model from your army that's on the battlefield. Select one of the following. So you've got 3 choices. Until the start of your next command phase, that model's unit is eligible to shoot in a turn in which it fall back. Until the start of your next command phase, add 4 to that model's objective control characteristic. Or automated repair systems, the model regains 1 lost wound. Gouge a Foothold. At the start of your movement phase, you select one objective marker to be your primary rallying point. Then your opponent selects one objective marker to be your secondary rallying point. This can be the same objective marker. At the end of your next command phase or at the end of the battle, whichever comes first, you score VP as follows: 5 for controlling the primary and 10 for controlling the secondary.
You can get 15 per turn.
15 per turn, yeah. But because like your opponent gets to pick the more valuable of the two, it's kind of nice. So then the chaos side of things, it's called the Slaughter Talon Combat Patrol.
Slaughter Talon.
So you get a Knight Brigand and a Knight Stalker, which I understand why they didn't give us a Carnivore. It just feels, more appropriate to have a Carnivore. Night Stalker has the Avenger Chain Cannon and the Slaughter Claw. The Brigand has the Avenger Chain Cannon and the Demon Breath Spear. They're both unfortunately, the Stalker does not have a Carapace weapon. Oh no, Stalker has the Havoc multi-launcher, which is good, but the Brigand is locked into the Diabolus Heavy Stubber. Hunter Pack kind of works the same way as the Imperial version, except instead of being tied to objectives, you are hunting enemies. So you pick a primary quarry enemy unit to destroy, and your opponent picks a secondary quarry unit.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. The command phase abilities that you can pick to grant one War Dog. First one is Hunter's Instincts. Model can make a normal or fallback move of up to D3 plus 1 inches instantly in the command phase. Killing Frenzy. Until the start of your next command phase, melee weapons equipped by that model have the Sustained Hits 2 ability, and then the model regains 1 lost wound. If the War Dog Stalker is your warlord, it gains Frenzy to the last. If the bear is destroyed by a melee attack and has not fought this phase, roll a d6 on a 2-up. Do not remove it from play. So fights on death on a 2+ if it hasn't fought.
That's nice in a combat
Okay.
patrol.
Or the Brigand, you can give it Feral Hunter. At the start of the deploy army step, you can set the bear up in strategic reserves instead of setting it up on the battlefield. Each time the bear is set up on the battlefield from strategic reserves, it can be set up anywhere on the battlefield, wholly within 9 inches of 1 or 4 battlefield edges, and not within 6 inches of 1 or more enemy units.
Oh,
Hmm.
okay.
So, sort of a
Like,
soft deep strike, which
It's
is
like, where did this knight come from?
well, it's interesting that it's on the Brigand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
'Cause
think it would be on the Stalker.
you would think, but so I don't know. It is what it is. There is one very interesting combination here. So the Hunter Pack ability Killing Frenzy, which until the next command phase, melee weapons equipped by that model have the Sustained Hits 2 ability. You put that onto the War Dog Stalker, and it has fights on death. You can then also use the stratagem Infernal Rage. Until the end of the phase, improve the armor penetration characteristic of melee weapons equipped by models in unit by 1. Add 2 to the attacks characteristic of Slaughterclaw weapons, and add 4 to the attacks characteristic of armored feet weapons. So it takes the Slaughterclaw to 6 attacks, with sustained hits 2. Hitting on 3s, it's strength 12, AP 4, damage d6 plus 2.
Oh my god. And combat patrol?
In combat patrol, yeah,
Jesus
So wipes
Christ.
anything it comes in contact with.
pretty
Yeah,
much.
basically. Nice. Alright.
So
Alright.
yeah, I'm very happy with the night combat patrols. They did a good job of that.
Yeah,
Oh,
imagine
nothing
like,
that is going to wound that on anything less than a 5.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, you
got
don't
a
get
Doom
las
Stalker.
cannons in combat patrol.
I get a Doom Stalker. I could do it.
Wait, do you really?
Yeah.
Okay, that thing scares me.
I mean,
I
it
get
doesn't
berserkers.
Those
That's a
things scare me
very
too.
army
Everything scares me.
specific
everything
matchup.
scares me. Everything sucks. I hate it.
Oh, I'm so afraid. But yeah,
What does
so generally
Guard
good.
get in their combat
I
patrol?
did want to actually on the subject of that sort of thing. The one of the other questions that Coda asked in our chat for topics today was talking about dream tournament setups. And I was thinking about it, and I actually think doing a giant combat patrol tournament would actually be kind of fun.
It'd be more casual, I think.
Yeah.
On the same playing field, you know.
A hard part about that would be the lack of balance in combat patrol.
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
about combat patrol. I'd say like 1,000-point games if we wanted to do like small.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, and I still want to do a slow grow league, but the more specific the answer, because it's dream tournament, like 100 grand to spend on the tournament. I would this whole idea earlier. There's a building in the big city near me that's like the hockey arena. I would love to be able to run a tournament big enough to actually rent out the hockey arena and like fill the arena with tables.
Beautiful. I've daydreamed and dreamt about like, how could Warhammer be improved in a tournament setting? And honestly, the longest aspect I think is just measuring out your deployment zone, figuring out what the layout of the terrain might be. You just get like a digital table that does that for you, or like some lasers that you projected over it.
So the bigger tournaments generally use the WTC setups, and
Yeah.
the deployment zone and everything is actually set
Is
by
on the
table.
mat. And is on the mat.
That's nice. All right, I rescind my
Yeah,
contribution.
it's if you're going to local tournaments, it's a whole thing. But if you're going to the bigger tournaments, that shit's all pre-done.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
your game, you know what your mission and everything is before you get to the table, because it's locked to that table, because that table's preset for that mission.
Right. Makes sense. Well, jeez. All right.
So
Dream tournament otherwise, you know.
yeah.
The rest area, do one of those. You know, I got the buy first round of the tournament. I had to go to the cafe down the street to wait it out.
Yep. No, and all of that. Oh, and I would love to have it set up so that there are cameras at every table. So like you can get like high quality video recording of your game.
That'd be
Yeah.
very nice. You know, pump some
Because that
music
shit would be
in.
a lot of fun. I'm pretty sure everything that I've just listed though, I think I broke the 100K budget like with the location rental.
Just the
So
location.
Probably.
Probably.
So
Um,
it's funny because when I came up with that question, I was thinking more like as event goer, not as event. And the one big ones for me was I'd want a tablet that runs the app that we use.
tabletop battles, yeah.
Yeah.
True.
I,
Every time.
I would love to have the ability to have someone record every one of my games. I don't care if it's every table, just every one of my games.
Yep.
And then for me, the thing that always lacks with tournaments, catering.
Ooh, yep.
I'm not
The ones that have it, it's not always great because they went with the cheap option. But like, without fail, people will spend more on a ticket if they know that the food's going to be half decent. It's the
Yeah.
same like if there's an open bar, you can charge so much more for a ticket, or not even open bar, just a bar.
I don't know, man. I would pay someone to
Yeah.
remind me to eat food between rounds because I'd forget.
Well, assuming LVO 2026 still happens, I'll remind you.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Well, let's just do games in 4 hours instead of 3, and put an hour in the middle for dinner. How about that, Games Workshop?
Ooh.
You know, do a big pizza party in the middle. Yeah.
I like that.
Thank
Yeah,
Colleen's
more,
like,
morning,
pizza?
Love pizza
longer,
party.
long weekend tournaments. Just run Friday through Monday. Do morning games, and afternoon, evening games. Have pizza party for lunch.
It's just like being like, this is like aristocracy. You know, just feed me and entertain me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You're not
basically.
entertained?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not
the
complaining.
children.
I'm just
Bring-
saying, the one time I got to go on like a D&D weekend retreat, that was literally what we woke up, we ate breakfast, we played D&D for like 5
Yeah.
hours, we had lunch, we played D&D for 8 hours, we had dinner and drinks, went to bed, and then got up and did it again for 3 days
Wow. If
straight.
only
is
I
how
wasn't married and I could
lived.
do that again.
The Epicurean commune
I
horizon.
mean,
Yeah,
we
that's
were
just
gonna
you
do
guys-
it when we were married,
I
and then
was gonna
COVID
say, I
happened.
feel like your husband would do it with you.
I was gonna
I
say
honestly, no, I would. If he tried to do something like that without me, I would be very upset.
instant
Divorce.
divorce.
Just
That's
letting you know,
instant
it just means
divorce.
you guys haven't been together long enough because my wife is like, hey, there's a tournament way up north. Do you want to go by yourself, like now?
Yeah.
Leave? Get the fuck out.
Hey, would you like to be gone for 5 days? Yeah. No.
Yeah, no,
that's-
I'm not there yet.
Damn.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
funny.
we gotta go find a log cabin in the woods, guys, and meet up.
There was something. Well, I mean, I don't
For
really want to go to a
what?
cabin in the woods for the first time meeting several of you.
That's a little
But
creepy.
yeah.
What?
I'm also just gonna throw it
grab
out
the right
there,
tool.
like cabin in the woods is great, but not a cabin in the woods in Florida.
Yeah, actually that's
Mm,
we'd
yeah.
we'd have to pick like
Group of
middle
tourists
ground.
going to Florida do not get saved by the Florida man when the bears attack.
No,
you know, it's
no,
like
no,
this.
no,
I
no,
can
no.
see the headlines.
We're not. Okay,
So I will say-
we got a good bougie white man cabin in Tennessee woods, not Florida.
No.
woods.
So
So,
okay,
like,
you know who
pretend
is
cabin.
central relatively to all of us is Pilch. So
Hey,
we can go somewhere backwoods Montana, and
I have a cabin.
Yeah.
there we go.
I
See,
don't even know how tall Pilch is. I don't know if I trust him.
What does that have to do with anything?
That's very important to me.
I'm 6'2".
Height is
Oh shit!
Oh.
He's 6'2"?
yeah.
Is it you trust tall people or you don't trust people taller than you?
No, Mark wants to know if he can be the little spoon all weekend.
You know what, Pilch?
Mhm.
We need,
Oh, there's that.
Oh,
I'm gonna need a picture of that
Mark,
driver's license, bud. You
I'll
want to send that over
spoon
real quick?
you.
Whoa,
Mark, you know
whoa.
I'm 6'3", right?
Yeah, I've seen a picture of you. You're fine. So, Pilch, I needed to get a picture of you real quick. You want to send
A
me your driver's
picture of
license?
me?
Tell you what,
You-
when
your security
I
code.
assuming certain things don't go off the rails in the next couple of months, when I go down for Pilch's wedding in the summer, we'll get a picture together.
There we go.
Prove that you're both real and not
Yeah.
the same person.
I mean, it could be
Well,
AI
enough.
generated. I'm gonna 3D print one of those extra fingers and wear it.
Yes.
Yeah. Actually, here's a question for you guys. Now that I have a 3D printer arriving tomorrow, which I'm so excited for, I can barely sit still. What is the first thing that you would 3D print for your specific hobby set?
Oh, I thought you just meant in general. I'm like,
No.
oh, okay.
What would I need that 3D printed? A 9-inch long stick.
Because your stick isn't long enough?
All right, Kali.
Oh boy. You can't
Ah,
keep track with his
sorry.
stick.
You could
No.
you could hear Nate, me, Ryan, and Coda all going, I'm not gonna say it. And Colleen's like, fucking hold my beer, boys.
Hear me out.
I couldn't help
A
it. I'm
9
sorry.
You can use a 9-inch stick for so many different things in a
Yeah,
Warhammer
Mark,
table.
I'm
And
keenly
you wanna
aware what you
buy-
can use a 9-inch stick for. Let's
Not
can
just
shut your
the
whore mouth,
Warhammer
you know.
table.
And
That's
you want to go
50%.
on Amazon, you want to buy your own, go for a
I-
little shop. You're
I
gonna pay
would
a couple
3D
bucks
print a
for it.
paddle to get us away from this conversation.
This is a German point I'm pulling up. You know, it's like you just print it so
Hey.
cheaply for plastic. You can. Whatever.
You know what
fuck
you
guys.
want, Mark, is one of those like
guys.
old timey little like maneuvering little prodding sticks that the generals used to use on the maps. With
Oh yeah, with
little,
like the leather
like,
flat
yeah,
piece
like
at the
that.
end.
That
Little like
it's like the
little war
pool
table
it's
fort.
like the pool the
Uh,
billiards like stick
Like a
except
pool
with a little
cue,
flat
but
piece
it's
on the end.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
to move like
Yeah,
little
yeah, you
mouse
see it in
sticks
like the old
around.
World War
Yes.
II
We are
movies on the
almost
war
right to the
maps.
objective.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah,
well,
no.
no. Okay, here's the thing. We have to, because this is the age of 3D printing and Thingiverse, we have to over-engineer the shit out of it. So what it's got then is it's got a spring-loaded extension that you can crank a distance to on the handle, and you push a button and it moves the model that far.
I bring that
It's like
to a level
hydraulic
game.
thrusters.
When go.
My opponent is gonna pack up and leave.
It comes with a hydraulic powered stick.
If I bring
for
up
the
the
game.
things like my grandfather
That kinda
used this
game.
during World War II, and he's like, "I'm going home, bro. I'm not gonna, no."
You gotta wear like the British Army officer pants with the huge bulge on the side too,
Yeah.
and hold like a riding crop under one arm.
Oh,
Sir, you will
So
finish in 3.5 minutes, or I will beat you within an inch of your life.
because
You know
dude,
what
they
I would
have-
do if I had a 3D printer, and it would be my first, like, probably third project because it needs ramp up time.
Yeah.
I would create 3D print the diorama of the Emperor Sanguinius and Horus on the Vengeful Spirit.
Do you have
Damn, bro.
any
That would be
idea
pretty cool.
what a nightmare of a print that is?
I would not.
Like
Well,
having
no,
been
putting it still back together.
having been digging through. No, see, the thing is, you don't want to print that in pieces. Having been digging through the process of like prepping models to print and all that kind of thing, that diorama, because I know the exact diorama you're talking about, that diorama is a fucking nightmare to print.
I didn't say it'd be easy. I said that if you loved me, you'd do that and a Titan.
Actually,
As long as you're paying for it, I'll do both. I'm just telling you, it's going to be 6 months to a year before I'm even ready to start attempting that thing.
sure, you know.
No, I really enjoyed painting the Horus Ascended model that my parents got me for my birthday last year. And I will never play Horus Heresy with it. Like it will never leave the shelf it's on now unless I move.
Yep.
But it has gotten me into the painting, not just to play, but also to like enjoy.
Yep.
Admire.
Nice.
That would be
No,
a
I-
void beast.
I would love to. So speaking as the unemployed bum of the group, because job hunting sucks ass right now, I would love to be able to start actually like doing commercial 3D printing work.
Yeah, bro. Do you like custom bases?
I mean, yeah, I can do like all kinds of stuff. My focus for the first little bit while I continue looking for a job is going to be learning how to use the 3D printer more effectively. The software is at a point where it seems relatively easy, saying it as someone who hasn't done a single 3D print yet.
Buy extra extruder hits.
But like if I can make enough off of this printer, because I'm getting a resin printer to do miniatures and stuff specifically.
Oh.
If I can make enough off of this printer to then get a halfway decent FDM printer, because I have one in mind, but it's like $400. and then I have both FDM and resin printing, and I can do like some of the really cool shit that you can do with both. I would love to start selling 3D prints.
Mhm.
So if you guys want to buy 3D prints, my prices are basically please pay me, I love you. And I mean, others can attest. I know Ryan can attest, but people can attest that I know how to ship my things.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep. I will be in touch.
yeah, no, you
Um,
and I have spoken.
What, we talked about the 9-inch thing. You don't say anything about that. That was crazy.
That's crazy.
Listen, Mark, I know how to wrap my package. Is that a problem for you?
Oh my god!
well, it's under 9 inches.
I just want to get money for Army Man, please.
Oh man. Yeah. Coda had asked another question earlier.
I did,
just
and I do want to
remember.
touch on it just because it's I had a
it's
conversation about
it's
it
a
earlier.
good question. Just there's no way to segue wrapping your 9-inch package into this question cleanly. So I think we're just gonna like break off from the former conversation and declare that it's done and get into talking about enjoying the lore. So I know generally we all have very different levels of engagement with the lore right now, from like Pilsh at the one end to Coda and I at the other end.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle.
Well, I mean, your
I'm
your lore
excited.
engagement I think is a little more focused than
I'm
ours.
excited. I'm excited to be here.
Um,
0.
and you're also the lore guy, so I mean, maybe you're the right one to lead off with this question.
No.
What is more important to you to enjoy the lore? The big sort of the word that Cody used was bombastic, but the very notable characters, kind of like Trazen, or
Right.
more relatable characters like I'm not going to use your example, Coda, because that is literally the most lore nerd example that no one's going to know.
I know.
But characters like Gaunt's Ghosts or Eisenhorn or any of those, like where it's a person in the context of 40K doing their best.
I would,
And then sort of as a third option, there are no good guys, everyone sucks.
I would say, for me personally, the more fun, kind of engaging aspects of the lore is when you do get to follow and grow with like a normal-ish person that you get to sort of relate to or relate with, and they eventually encounter like these household names and see how they interact and see an outside perspective. Because like you can read a book from Robu Gilliman's perspective, and it's like all grandiose and he's a big alien guy. It's like okay, cool. It just does more of that all the time, you know. Whereas I know there's depth and nuance, but it's not as relatable. And I really think that you can get more out of a story kind of from the bottom up rather than the top down, if that makes sense for Warhammer.
That makes total sense. I actually want to reword the question a little bit because I think there's a more interesting question here that we've accidentally sort of tripped into. What do you think is better from a storytelling perspective between getting the story from the perspective of somebody like Gilliman and Mortarion, kind of like they did with the
Dark Imperium.
The Dark Imperium books, versus having these sort of big grand characters essentially be almost set dressing to a character that we then sort of get a sense of like the scale of these characters from a more heavy air quotes here that nobody can see, a more normal perspective, where we never know what they're thinking. They're never talked about in the first person. We simply see them sort of as in the context of more normal characters.
I do like the later example, I like the later point more. Just like getting more, or maybe more refreshing, different perspectives of these big lore characters from an outside point of view. Like one of my favorite passages I've read in just 40K lore is like a Sister of Silence. It's describing what like a Primarch or the Emperor looks like to them. It's completely different than everyone else's perspective.
Right.
It's like it's new, it's refreshing. It's like I want to get more of that. Get more of that shit.
Okay.
So for me, the big thing that I like of the lore is the darkness of it. I like that there is no good guys. Like even the side we'd see as good is still fascist and horrible as hell. But from a specific storytelling, I like the small points of view, almost if they're done right, intermingled, because like I think, and I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, I think Siege of Terra is probably one of the best written series from a storytelling perspective.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree.
And the reason is because you have moments where Sanguinius by himself takes on a Reaver Titan by shoving a spear through its head and decapitating it on the open battlefield. And then you have moments where, like the example I gave in the discussion, you have a conscript who was never meant to be in this war, but because it came to Terra, he's here. Realized that he's the only human shooting. The rest of the people around him are all space marines, and everybody else is just scared shitless.
Yep. So, okay, but then my question, and I think they couldn't do this with Siege of Terra because there were some very important storytelling beats that they had to hit. And taking as an example the scene you were talking about where Sanguinius fights a Reaver Titan, is that scene better told from Sanguinius' perspective or the perspective of even a Space Marine on the battlefield watching it happen?
I will say this. I mean that like in regards to that particular scene, that's I don't know. I think that's a very narrow thing, but I think like Limerick, you brought up Lord of the Rings. Whether or not you like it as much, like a similar thing is Game of Thrones is one of the most successful recent fantasy series,
Well,
and I think
it's half a series right now, but don't mind
well
me.
yeah. But the thing that they share in common, I was actually just talking to Colleen about this. Um, the thing that they share in common that I think is very, again, if well done, it can be screwed up and not be great, but is the multiple perspectives. So for Lord of the Rings, sort of as the more original one, it's done in a different way, but from chapter to chapter, you're often reading from the point of view of different people and you're getting different perspectives on it. I agree with Mark that I think we'll call it the more humble point of view, especially in reference to these, demigod like characters, I think is preferable, but at the same time, it's nice to have maybe not as much, but at least still some juxtaposition to get into the mind of these demigod like characters and realize, they are demigods, but they're also still human. And a lot of the story of the Horus Heresy is about the flaws that come with that, and that they're not these perfect, creations. That they have these flaws, and that they struggle with things the same as any regular human being does.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that proves, I think, Merck's stance on this, the idea that the humbler the perspective, almost not better, but more enjoyable maybe for us, is that we have an entire game, lore base, everything, an entire arcana, if you want to call it, centered around a person that we have never heard speak.
Yeah.
He has never issued one command from his lips in any book.
Wait, whom?
The Emperor.
The Emperor.
Oh, the Emperor. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
So every story we've ever heard of the Emperor comes from someone else's perspective. We
Yes.
never get a glimpse inside his head. The closest we come to is when he's talking to Horus in the Warp, and even then, it's not a glimpse inside his head because we're just seeing a inside his head. I guess.
You mean that we never see a first-person perspective from the Emperor? I was going to say the conversation that he has with Alanius at the end of Solar War. Yeah, no,
I do think that there is Master of Mankind. He talks to Ra and everything. Like we have words he quote unquote has said, but there's no story where he talks in first person. There's never a story where he's the main character, and
we never get his perspective.
Which, I mean, but that concept kind of underpins the root of my question, because to a degree, at least some of the Primarchs are meant to be unknowable from a human perspective. Like they function on a level that we can't comprehend. And so then to tell us a story that's from their first person perspective, you can describe everything happening in the blink of an eye. It's like, you know, he finished processing the last 40 pages of information and only a second had passed. And it's like, well, I mean, okay, you can tell me that, or you can show from an outside perspective the speed that he collected all the information and made a decision, right? Like I just reread oh, what the hell is it? The one where the Titans walk on Hera. Mortis. I just finished rereading Mortis, and one of the perspectives that I found significantly more interesting, and one of the things that I really liked, is in the whole of Mortis, because Mortis has multiple perspectives and there's multiple characters. Perturabo is never given a first person perspective. We hear everything from his adjutant about Perturabo. And it's described to us the fact that Perturabo is processing amounts of information at speeds that are inhuman.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of it is the literary design, right? Like if you set up a character to be like that, to be inhuman in their abilities or outlook, then it doesn't really make sense to try and humanize their perspective, and I think that would just be a poor literary device or choice. Like
Well, and
that's either poor design or a poor choice to try and do that. I think there are some, like, I mean, for example, you know, Sanguinius, who has perhaps a little bit more humanity in the, you know, the most emotional context than many. That would make sense because, you know, he would probably struggle with that in his position more than a more inhuman Primarch would.
Right. No, and that's entirely valid. So then the last piece of this question that I want to ask is I want to specifically hear from Pilch and Colleen, who I think have less lore engagement than the rest of us. Which of the two would grab you more in, like, sort of on the idea of I then want to get into reading more of the lore?
I have a brief summary of the two.
Yeah.
So
There's been so much talking.
yeah, so essentially what we're talking about is storytelling that includes first person perspectives from things like Primarch, right? Which are arguably supposed to be so far beyond humanity that, in my opinion, and I think to a degree it's true, their perspective is difficult to communicate in a way that doesn't overly humanize them, versus having these characters that are these big notable figures only ever shown in a second person perspective where someone else is describing what they've done.
Yeah, no, I'd rather hear directly from the Primarchs, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think it means more when it comes from them, even if you don't fully understand what, like, you don't fully fully grasp the concept they're trying to get across.
Right.
I don't know. I think it really depends on the setting, the story layout you're trying to go for, the theme you're going to build over time, because Warhammer is a giant universe and it's going to go for a long time. It has been going for a long time. So it depends how connected you want your readers to be. And so as a consumer of this, it's like I don't know. It's there's a lot of different layers to that and folds, and I think having a slight disconnect from some of the Primarchs and the greater beings in this universe is honestly still, it adds a bit of mystery still, and a bit of like, is this dystopian universe like really what's real and what's not? Like, is the Emperor actually there, or is he just a figment of everyone's imagination at this point? Is he just, you know, just an accumulation of warp energy that people have manifested because they believe in him? We don't know because we've never actually heard from his perspective. Like, I think it adds a lot of mystery and that keeps the intrigue going in some level. So yeah, it'd be super cool to hear from them. And at the same time, it's like, well, what else is there if we just kind of know everything?
Right.
So I don't know.
No, that's entirely fair.
Like, I would, like, if the Emperor ever had, like, got, you know, spoke or had like a passage, I wouldn't want it to be more than like 3 sentences, bro.
Yeah.
Well, and
like,
that's
keep it
like the
out of it.
Emperor.
It's gotta be
The
a
Emperor
one-liner.
has a conversation that we see from the perspective of the other participant at the end of Solar War.
Mhm.
And that is, I think, the most he speaks in any of the books.
Well, no, in Master Mankind, he talks to Ra and Gideon a lot
That's
because he knows that he's going to have to send Ra into exile.
fair. Right.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I don't think because I mean I haven't necessarily read the books, but I've seen a lot of quotes about like conversations with the Emperor. It's not that we don't have conversations, but we always hear it from someone else.
Yeah, from the other perspective.
The perfect example is when we have the conversation of, who's the guy with the monkey?
Oh,
The Simeon.
Arkan Land.
Arkan Land. We have a story from Arkan Land about how he talked to the Emperor, and the Emperor came to him to see about removing the butcher's nails in Angron.
Yep.
And Arkan Land was amazed at the lack of emotion that the Emperor would have, even for one of his own quote unquote sons, and how just analytical and by the data he was, and all that other stuff that Arkanland and the Admech would admire. And so a lot of people say, is that what the Emperor said, or is that what Arkanland heard?
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're already hoping that the Emperor says something that.
Well, they need him validated as the Omnissiah.
Yeah. Whereas so when Angron came out, they came out with a book called the Angron the Red Angel.
Yeah.
That entire book, Angron is, I'll call it a setting. And so he appears, the main characters interact with him with the same way that you would interact with a hurricane, and that's him throughout the entire book. You get no words from him, you get no thoughts of him. He just is. And both me and my dad loved that because that is what Angron is right now. He's no longer a rational thinking human thing. He's a force of nature.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it would almost be a detriment if Angron, turned around, realized he had an army behind him, and then decided to be a general.
Yeah. There's only so much humanity you can put in characters that need to be or are created to be beyond that, in a sense. So
Yeah.
As much as I would love to stay at, me and Colleen have to head out because
I was going to say, I think we're actually
work in the morning.
Probably going to wrap there. It seems like a good place to end it off. So, any final comments from anybody? Anything to think about for next time?
I've got a small thing, but it's more like more of bragging, really, more than anything. Next week, I'm going to a place called Zero Latency in my hometown with a couple of guys for a bachelor party, and they've got a full like VR room for like 8 people, and one of them is Space Marines.
Ooh.
So I'm excited to see what, because apparently it's an official product. I've seen like ads for it
I've seen it. I've seen that stuff too.
I'm really excited to try it out. I'll see if I can report back some good stories.
All right. Well, we will look forward to hearing from you the next time we get together for the podcast. On that note, this has been the Blackstone Fortress. Thank you for your time and attention. Probably the 2 most valuable things you can give us. A reminder, if there's something you want to ask us about, if you want a topic talked about on the podcast, our email is blackstonefortresspodcast@gmail.com. We will see you guys in 2 weeks. Take good care of yourselves. And thanks again.